it's not this 43 unit, but what was the best deal you've ever done? What type of property was it? How did you find it? And how did you finance it?
Yeah, great question. So we'll stick with the 43 units. It's the one I've owned the longest. And so it was acquired at a very good time. So that's kind of nice. And so it's located in Greenville, South Carolina, where I live. And one of my other advice to newbies is really network in your market, get to know the brokers, get to know the property managers, get to know the insurance agents, get to know some of the contractors, and so forth. So this was a broker that I had met maybe about 18 months prior. And we've been to lunch a couple times. He brought me a couple deals. They weren't right. And then one day he brought me this deal, and he brought it to me first. Went down, took a look at it with my buddy Brian. We liked it. We made an offer, and we were kind of off and running. But this was a relationship with a broker that had been nurtured over a period of 12 to 18 months. And, you know, you want to keep checking in with them. You want to get to know them personally. I mean, do they got kids or not? Are they a golfer? Are they a skier? You know, a little socialization, a little lunch here and there. And then you just want to keep popping up, not as a pest, but every couple of weeks, maybe check in with them. Hey, Jonathan, you found me anything coming up that I might like, just to kind of remind them that you're still there. So this was an off-market deal that they brought to me and basically said, Arn, I think this is exactly what you've been looking for. We're going to give you first crack. I tried to renegotiate the price or negotiate the price. They basically told me to go pound sand. I decided to pay full price, and I'm glad I did. So it was a first look. It wasn't a competitive bidding situation, which often happens. So I got the first look. We went into contract at full price, and that's how I found the deal. And since that time, our relationship has deepened, and the same broker has brought me 2 or 3 other deals. So he likes me, I like him. He knows I'll close. I know he'll bring me deals, so it works perfectly. In terms of financing, we got agency debt. And that in and of itself was an experience. So to back up a little bit for the listeners, agency is typically referred to as either Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae debt. It's typically the preferred way to finance multifamily deals. And I would say stabilize multifamily deals, because Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae will kind of only lend based on what the property is doing today, not what it could do in a year. And so a lot of people in the space has heard about bridge debt and floating bridge debt and CMBC debt. And those are kind of more leverage situations where they're lending on what the property can be in a year or two. So you can typically get higher loan to value. Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, a little more conservative. We ended up getting 7 years fixed rate debt at 3.86%. And then the other thing with agency debt is there are usually prepayment penalties. So you want to know what the prepayment penalty is. There's yield maintenance, there's defeasance, and there's step down. And we chose step down because with step down, the prepayment penalty is known and predictable, where with yield maintenance, you just don't know it. So the broker that brought me this deal, their company also has a multifamily debt operation. So I worked with them on obtaining what's called a Freddie Mac small balance loan. One note for your listeners, getting a loan on a multifamily is different than getting a loan on your house. And so typically, if you want to borrow 5 million on an apartment building, you have to have a net worth of $5 million. Okay, so you need to have a balance sheet. Your personal income doesn't really enter into qualifying for the loan. They look at what the property produces, the net operating income of the property, use the debt coverage ratio to determine the loan amount. So circling back to my mentor, one of the things about agency debt is they'll only make agency loans to people who have prior agency debt experience. And so you might say, well, how do I get agency debt experience if I can't get an agency debt loan unless I have experience? It's kind of like a chicken and the egg. So my mentor, Reed, has owned lots of buildings, primarily in Austin, Texas, but now he's in Phoenix. He has agency debt experience. So we brought him in as part of the general partner. He served as what's called key principal. He had the agency debt experience. So now I've had that loan for 3 years. So now I have agency debt experience and I wouldn't need Reed to get another Freddie loan. But you got to start somewhere. And so